I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Push record.
Welcome to the January 16th City of Windom City Council meeting. Are we good? Okay. Tonight on the consent agenda are the minutes of the following. Council minutes of December 19th, 2023 and January 2nd, 2024. HRA December 13th, 2023. Utility Commission December 27th, 2023. EDA January 8th. Library Board January 9th. Tree Commission January 10th. Park and Rec Commission January 10th. Community Center Commission January 10th. License and permits include exempt gambling permit from Business Arts and Recreation Center, Des Moines. That event, February 20th of 2024. Des Moines River Ducks Unlimited, February 23rd. And the Windom Area Chamber of Commerce, June 9th. Also included are the regular bills.
I would make a motion to accept the consent agenda.
I'll second.
Motion Jenny, second by Jim. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed, same sign. Motion carries. Department heads. Good evening.
Kristen Porth, Windom Ambulance. Just coming tonight to give you a little update on our 2023 run data. We had a busy year. We averaged a little over 3 calls a day. Our ending runs that we had was 1,110 runs, run sheets that we filled out. That was up, I think, from last year. I think we were 1,080. 87 is what we were last year. So been very busy. We had 357 transfers. They vary from Worthington, Sioux Falls, Marshall, Rochester, St. Peter. Majority of them go to Sioux Falls. That was 290 transfers to Sioux Falls. This year we had 81 that were what we classify as other facilities. So that's like airport, taking a patient home, assisted living, nursing home. That was up quite a bit this year. I think last year the number was around 25, 30. They need to go by ambulance due to probably mobility reasons or health reasons. So we had quite a few of them this year. 83 no transport calls. That could vary from maybe car accidents where we evaluated them and they didn't need to go to the hospital. A lot of patient lift assist. So we go to their home, help them get off the floor, and they don't need to go to the hospital. Those are also up this year. 51 standby, and that's mostly fire calls and some law enforcement assist. Majority of them are probably fire calls. We had 6 community events, and then our local run call volume for our run area was 513. So busy year. 2024 has not slowed down. So I just looked yesterday, and we're still averaging over three calls a day. So that's all I have.
Any questions for Kristen? Really appreciate it. Thank you, and to all your staff. Other department heads? Okay, we'll move on to the annual Firefighters Relief Association report as included in your packet.
Okay, so this is the annual report that has to be submitted into the state from the Windom Fire Relief Association. Both Ben and Chris are here in case you have any questions, but so what it shows is what the member liabilities are and what assets are in the Relief Association fund. If there were a deficit, that is something the city is responsible for, and so that's why you get this annual report. As of the report that was submitted for the ending 2023 year, there was a surplus over liabilities in that fund of $464,381, so they are in very good shape solvency-wise in that fund, and I would recommend the council approve accepting this report.
Does the council have any questions? Okay,
I'll make a motion to accept the report as is.
motion Scott, seconded by Dennis to approve the annual Firefighters Relief Association report. Any final comments? Hearing none, I'll ask for the motion. Yeah, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Thank you. Snowplow naming contest, that's one I am happy to hand off.
Wonderful. So we had a total of 10 submissions for names, and we had the plow drivers go through and pull out their top picks, and then Dennis and I and John on the street department then went through and picked out our top picks and then combined them, and that's how we got it. So our top 3 picks for our 3 snowplows will be Snowbiz, submitted by Marv Grunig. And he's not here tonight. I would have loved to see his face. I haven't called any of these people, so this is the first announcement that anybody's hearing of who named any plows. So we'll have to see how Marv reacts later, I guess. Second was Sir Plows a Lot, submitted by Robbie Anderson. And the third one was Winnie the Plow, submitted by Sandra Harder. So I will reach out to these people to let them know that they won. And their names will go on the plows. The plows are still not here. We're expecting them the end of December. They're still not here. So as soon as we get plows here, they will get the lettering on the trucks, and we will reach out to these 3 people to come down and congratulate them, have them stand by their plow with their plow name. I just want to say our honorable mentions because we only had 10, so I think I can go through this list fairly quickly. The other names that were submitted were Driveway Plugger, Olaf, Snowmow, Ploward, The Big Leplowski, Get Her Done with Gusto, and Betty Whiteout. So we thank everybody for their participation, and like I said, we just wait for our plows to come so we can get this. But Marv Grumenig, Robbie Anderson, and Sandra Herder were the ones. Snowbiz, Sir Plows a Lot, and Winnie the Plow. So hopefully you will see them out and about, but not too much. I mean, we don't want to really see the plows out more than we have to. But thank you again for everybody that participated.
So is that an action item to accept the names?
Okay, I'll make a motion for the 3 plow names.
I'll second that.
Thank you for Jenny and Scott, the council members who are part of that committee. Oh, and Dennis. I'm sorry. Okay. Sorry. Congratulations to Snowbiz, Plows a Lot, and Winnie the Plow. Very creative, actually. So with that, any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we're proud that we have a council member that was recognized with Snowbiz. Rigged? Okay. Very good. Okay, next on the agenda, disposition of surplus equipment regarding liquor store items. John?
John Nelson, liquor store manager. So as part of our project, now that we knew the timeline. One of the coolers is actually begin being installed today. So the current 13-door cooler that we have will be removed from service here probably within a week and a half. So we put it out for sealed bids to see what we could get for it. We ended up having 2 bids submitted, one in the amount of $551 and the other in the amount of $3,000. So we'll accept the higher bid of $3,000 and he will pick it up as soon as it is out.
Question I had is that, I guess you'll remove it from the facility and then they pick it up, or are they part of that removal process?
The contractors that were hired to install the coolers also were hired to demo the cooler. So they will pump down the refrigeration and all that and keep it in the units for the guy. His plan is to bring a trailer, either a trailer or they will have it all on pallets for him. So, and then they can just load it on the trailer and he can be gone with it. So.
Any questions?
So we'll be looking for, oh, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
We are not responsible for it after it leaves the premises, correct?
It is as is, so.
As is. Okay, Steve?
Just Mr. Mayor, I was just gonna say, when we have the motion, it'll be to declare it surplus and approve the sale, so 2 actions.
Yep. So 2 actions in one motion would be allowed in this situation. We did advertise it to meet the conditions of our charter. So with that, I would entertain someone to accept the high bid of $3,000. And what was the other condition, Steve? Oh, declare it surplus and then award the high bid of $3,000.
I'll make such motion.
Motion by Scott, seconded by Jim. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Any other updates you wanted to mention while you're there?
Lots going on. So it's been noisy in there the last couple days. They began demoing the office. So I am kind of sitting up in the front of the store. We've removed the box wine rack and Prosecco rack. And I'm kind of up in that area. We've moved some stuff over around. So been a lot going on down there. It's been busy. But people will start seeing progress on the inside. The 2 new coolers, the one should be officially up and running by the end of the week. The other one will be about a week and a half after that. We probably won't have the other cooler open to the public until it's safe to access that area, which is probably when the other cooler comes down because it's down the corridor. So, but lots going on. We'll have the new coolers up and running hopefully by the end of the month or shortly after. So.
Why do you need coolers? Can't you just open a window?
The back door has been open with all the in and out on demo, and yeah, it chilled it out pretty good, but
Okay.
it's a little cold to just have the windows open, so.
I'm just curious on, are your sales keeping up even with the construction going on and whatnot?
It's about normal for this time of year. Sales have dropped once it got cold. Which is normal for January, February, so it's a good time for all this to happen. But other than that, it hasn't affected too much at all at this point, so.
All right, thank you, John. Anybody else? Okay, we're good. Thank you. Okay, item number 6 is the engagement letter for GASB 75 services via actuarial.com. Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. Cheryl had lined this up with these folks. Every few years, we have to go through and do the other post-employment benefit calculations through an actuarial, and then those are used as part of the audit. And so this contract is for the actuarial service to update those OPEB numbers and get those to our auditors. And you can see the fees were outlined, 25 or $2,000 is to update everything, the full Gadsby, and then the 2025 is for that second year revision, and so we do it every 2 years.
Anybody have any questions what that is?
I assume this is something that was budgeted for.
It's something that comes up every couple of years, so yeah, we have it in the budget, yeah.
Okay. We would need action by the council.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
I'll second it.
Motion by Dennis, second by Scott. Any discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. The next one, a joint resolution for orderly annexation, Cottonwood County Vet Clinic. Hopefully, with the council's action, we will welcome them to the city of Windom. Steve?
Yep, thank you. Yep, the Cottonwood County Vet Clinic property along the highway by the hospital had requested voluntary annexation into the community. It was brought to the attention and run through the Planning and Zoning Commission. Planning and Zoning Commission had looked at it, assigned zoning to it, and had recommended approval. We need to go to the township, so we went to the township when they had their meeting last week. They reviewed it, they have signed off on the orderly annexation, and so now it is up to you if you want to accept this parcel into the city. The owners would like to connect to water right away, and then sewer down the line when their system becomes either non-compliant or they need to expand that. So they need to be in the city to do those things, and so Planning and Zoning recommended approval of it.
Any further questions?
Will it still say Cottonwood County, or will that change?
I believe they're keeping the same name.
One question I had on these, Steve, is there a monetary transfer?
By statute, there's a formula where the township taxes are prorated over a 5-year period, and then those are paid by the applicant to the city, and city gives them to the township. So that was discussed and worked out at the township meeting.
Okay. Okay, and I believe this is a resolution. Someone care to introduce the resolution if they're so
I'll
inclined?
introduce this resolution for annexation.
I'll second it.
Introduced by Dennis and seconded by Scott. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll ask for a roll call.
Benson,
Yes.
Grunig, Esplin, Nelson,
Yes.
Quaid.
Yes.
And that resolution carries. Once again, welcome to the Cottonwood County Vet Clinic to the city of Windom.
Sign those two.
Yep. Okay. Interim staffing proposals. You have two. One that just came, that's on here. And as you know, we're without a finance controller. And I believe Steve is going to give us an overview of what we received so we can make a educated decision. Steve.
Thank you, Mayor. As you know, Kim Armstrong turned her resignation in. Council accepted that at its last meeting on the 2nd of January. We have put ads in the paper, and we also have an ad up on the league site looking for applications. It's been a tougher position to fill. We went through that when we were looking for Cheryl's replacement. So we talked with personnel about that and kind of the path forward. But in the meantime, we need somebody in that role and to make sure that all of our ducks are in a row and all the reporting, quarterly IRS reports, things like that get done. So we had reached out to a number of resources. Got a hold of firms. You can see there's a proposal in your packet from Ellers. They are our financial advisors, but they do some interim staffing. The other proposal that we've got came in about 4:45 tonight. This was from Abdo Solutions. They're an auditing firm. They've got offices throughout Minnesota. Those are the two that we're able to get in for your consideration for interim staffing. I did talk to one of the local auditing firms and talked with that principal. They don't do government accounting. They didn't know anybody else in town that really did government accounting. They could help with some accounts payable or W-2s, things like that, but not fill in the finance director role on an interim basis. I reached out to other communities to see what they do and how they were getting along. One of the other communities had just recently hired a finance director of their own, so I asked them about the people how many applicants did you have? There anybody you didn't hire that would be good? They said, well, we hired the person that we wanted. That person vacated a job at the school district. Their second place person took the school district job, and the third person was offered a partner in their position in Sioux Falls at their audit firm. So they kind of got all sucked up and no availability. I did talk to a couple other communities, see if they had any capacity, maybe to help us out a little bit, and just with year end and everybody being tight staffed, there wasn't that opportunity. So we've kind of threw out all the lifelines we could, and these are the proposals that we got. The one from Ellers that was in the packet, they're envisioning, approximately 10 hours a week. They will do a day a month or so on site. There are some things they will not do. They list those in their. They won't prepare 1099s or W-2s, but there's quite a few things that they will do. The Abdo one, they're as I mentioned, they're an auditing firm. They do a lot of accounting work. They do audit prep, all those kind of things. So that's really kind of in their wheelhouse. The folks from Ellers, we've got a relationship with them. They are our financial advisors. They know us. We know them. They know, kind of our setup. They know our people. So there's an advantage there to have that relationship already. In their proposal, you may have seen they propose filling it with 2 people. The main person they would have assigned is around for a couple weeks, and then they're taking a few weeks vacation. So then they would backfill that with someone else that they're going to bring up to speed at their expense. They're both about the same cost. The one for Ellers is I think it's $240 or $245 an hour is what they're estimating at $2,800 or $9,800 a month. The Abdo one, as I looked through it tonight, they're anticipating they kind of do it by the day, and depending on who is working for us that particular day, their manager, they're looking at probably between 1 and 3 days a week is what they're envisioning. Maybe that 3-day a week just to get everything up and started and comfortable with it, and then maybe transition back to that 1 day a week. So their fee is really looking at probably 10 to 12,000 that first month, and maybe around that about 8,000 when you get to that 1 day a week. So it's a fairly substantial cost either way of either proposal. Obviously, we don't have a person in the position that we're paying, with salary and benefits, so there's some savings there, but this will be an additional cost to us, just so you're well aware of that. As we got this proposal late, we haven't had a real good chance to go through with a fine-tooth comb, so I really don't have a staff recommendation for you other than, I think Abdo maybe has some of the other resources we need, but we have a relationship with Ellers and they know us, so there's advantages kind of on both sides of that coin, and I know it puts you guys in a tough spot too because you've seen it, and not, very, very little as well, but we do need somebody in, and I really don't want to postpone this unless you're going to have a special meeting to consider it in a day or two, but we need the help in, yesterday would have been better, so.
I understand that, go ahead, Jim.
Is there any chance we could sweet talk Cheryl?
I had that conversation with Cheryl, and I also with our person previous to Cheryl, and there's no availability. They've got other things lined up, and they're committed to those things. So, nope, I tried to reach, that was the first call. Other cities were the second call. Third call was to all these private. I mean, I called auditors, I called the league, I called everybody, trying to throw out, phone a friend, and good thing I knew a few people, but we got some no's. Clifton Larson Allen used to be our auditors, and, we knew some folks there, so they knew our system and some of our stuff too. That might be a natural because they don't do our audit any longer, but they just didn't have the capacity to do it. And they do the hospital audit too. They thought maybe there was a conflict. And Schlenner Winter, who's our current auditors, obviously it would be a conflict for them to do it, so they didn't have interest in it either. So we're kind of looking at these two as our choices, between a rock and a hard place, so to speak.
I don't think in my opinion, the council probably doesn't and will not have a position this evening. I don't know how we can compare this ourselves, okay, right now. So I think, I asked Steve when we sat down if he's gonna have a recommendation, and he just noted that he needs to review and compare. So I think and I think we should allow Steve to do that. It would be up to the council whether, can we, this is just a question, can we have, give that authority to Steve to pick the firm that best represents, the city of Windom by both cost and ability and the need that's present? Or would you rather have us review it and come back?
At least one person, if we're gonna do it that way, maybe you and I, or.
Yep, and I'd be fine with that if you designate Steve and I or another council member, to do that. So, council have comments like that? It's just not,
It'll come
yeah.
down to, so,
Right,
I
and
don't, looking at the box.
right, but I think both of the firms would, some kind of council action, either to do some authorization or to select something, just so that it's, because it is a lot of money and they would need to start fairly quickly, so. But as I noted, we got this, we've talked to them several times this week, but this hard copy just came tonight, so it's a little hard to.
W-2s have to be out by the end of the month, so.
Correct.
We don't have enough.
I guess my personal feelings that as a council, we lean on you guys, you two as the mayor and Steve as a representative, as the best inform us of the best people we could put in that spot, because I don't really know much about this stuff. I'll be the first one to admit it. It's way over my wheelhouse, and I have no idea. And I guess if it's okay with the rest of you, I'd be more than willing to let you guys take this reign and go with it, because like Dennis said, we don't have a whole lot of time to get this stuff, and you gotta have stuff done by a certain day.
Steve made a comment that he'd like to show this to staff and get their, input. I think that's a good call too. They'll have to be working with them.
Right.
Okay. Can we do that in the next couple days, Steve, or?
Thursday, Friday.
Thursday, Friday,
Yeah, I'm gonna
yeah.
I'd give it to everybody, take a look at it, and then talk to them Thursday, and then we get back Thursday, Friday.
Okay.
So could I just make a motion that Steve and the mayor would have authority to execute a contract with either Ellers or Abdu Solutions by Friday, whatever is decided between the two of you with consultation with the rest of the staff.
And including a report, let's follow that up with a decision conveyed to the council so they know what and the parameters were. Okay,
I'll second that.
okay, motion by Jenny, second by Scott, to approve, Steve and Dominic with input from the staff to select the, financial, temporary consultant, and follow up with the council. Everybody clear? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. And we will continue, I'm assuming, with the search. Any update on that, Steve, that we can, we'll do it, okay.
Like I said, we got the ad out.
Yep, ads out and we're working on it. Thank you. Okay. What's that?
We're getting some feedback. I don't know
Oh, sorry.
who it was.
No, it was probably Jim. So, okay. Part-time seasonal wage scale update.
So every year, the state ups or changes the minimum wage, and so we need to up our salary schedule accordingly. So the new minimum wage for this year is $10.85. I think it was $10.58 last year. And then, so that becomes our new minimum. And then we kind of have part-time and seasonal. We then go up a little bit from there. So I kind of tried to apply the same 5% that the employees got to this scale as well, and then just kind of rounded it so it worked to the 25-cent levels. So I just rounded it up to the next one. So that would then put our swimming pool folks somewhere between $10.85 and $14, depending on their position and tenure. Pool manager between $15.25 and $16, and then our seasonal part-time folks between $12.75 and $14.75, depending on time of service. And so we had, as you may remember, we compressed that schedule a couple of years ago to make it quicker to get to the top, and so I just kept that same step schedule.
So that
Added dollars to it.
includes all the departments and Steve
So
for
everybody who's
part-time.
non-union
Okay.
part-time, yeah. And so there might be some people that'll be, a lot of people will be getting an increase, yeah.
Okay. Council wish to take action.
I'll make a motion to accept the part-time wage scale for seasonal people.
I'll second.
Motion by Scott, second by Jenny. Any questions, comments? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Maybe this is why the feedback.
No, my look
Oh.
was off.
Okay. Additional 2024 mayor appointments and reappointments. The couple that I had would be a recommendation for Tony Scott to fill a position on the HRA. That term would expire in 12/31/28. That takes the place of Tom White, of which we want to thank Tom for his work on the HRA. He was at most of the meetings and did a good job for us, so thank you, Tom. Additionally, the Telecom Commission, Jake Voth, talked to him today, and that is effective on the Telecom Commission till 12/31/26. Those are my two recommendations. I'd like you to act on that first, and then we'll have an additional one for Park and Rec.
I'll make a motion to accept the recommendations of the appointees of the mayor.
I'll second.
Motion Scott, second by Jenny to approve those two appointments. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? And then we have a Park and Rec position that I believe our liaisons to the Park and Rec Committee will make a recommendation to the council.
Yes, at our last Park and Rec meeting, and in consulting with the Chamber Vice President, we have reached out, and Darcy Jones, the new Chamber Director, is who we've selected to be on the Park and Rec, and she has agreed, and the Chamber has their blessing as well, and so we welcome her to our Park and Rec, if that would be approved.
I'll make the motion to approve.
I'll second it.
That motion by Jim, second by Scott, to approve Darcy Jones to the Park and Rec Commission. Yes, we have similar names. That's why I did not recommend approval. For the record, anyway. Any discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? Motion carries. Welcome Darcy Jones to the Park and Rec Commission. Okay. Contract payment change orders. I didn't know we had a change order.
There, Kenny. It's just a heading.
Oh,
just
I
a
have
heading,
it.
Just a heading on that.
Sorry, John.
Just a
I got it.
Okay. So there's one pay request in the packet. It is for Voss Plumbing and Heating. They did the demo up at the old Semstone facility. That's a contract that we had let quite some time ago. We had to get a lot of work completed on that, and they were up this fall and got a bunch of that work done. DGR is the engineer on that project. They are recommending approval for $166,487.50. This is a deed grant funded project, so this is a reimbursement. So we'll pay this, and then we'll collect those dollars back from that deed grant. So.
Thank you, Steve. And one comment, I guess, before we get into that, does that include, there was a lot of tree grubbing, burying some things. I was asked by a council member, and I want to just recognize that. And I believe that was in there. And because there was a question on that, whether that could be buried out there, and I just want to be transparent on that yes, I checked with our planning and zoning. They reviewed the document of the orderly process and what they're allowed to do. We're allowed to do that on site. So that comes after all the environmental reviews and such. That was part of the plan process. So just recognizing that, I think that was a good question. So with that, I'd entertain someone to make the motion to approve that.
I'll make the motion to approve Voss Plumbing and Heating bill for $166,487.50.
I'll second it.
Motion Jim, second by Scott. Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? And that motion carries. I will recognize that Scott and Jim have been doing the majority of the motions tonight. And is that because Marv's not here, or is? Okay, all right. Appreciate that. New business.
Yes, I got one thing. So the county auditor called, and there's that vacant lot on 24th Street, the former Vinker house that was torn down. The county has that lot. It was through foreclosure. It's right by Hagen's.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Huh? No. No, that didn't, we were going to do that, but the party backed out of that contract and did not. So the county has been taking care of it the last few months. apparently there is a large tree on that property as well, and there's a branch that fell and did some damage to a neighboring property. So the county would like to take that tree down, and they also would like to dispose of the lot, but because of the fairly large assessment we have on the property, it's just not been moving. And so the county auditor had two requests of the council to take in consideration. They want to know if we would go 50-50 on the tree removal. Their estimate would be approximately $5,000 to us. That's half. And they would also like the council to forgive 50% of the assessment. And they feel that they could then try to move that property and get it sold, get it off the rolls. So that was the request from the auditor, was to pay for half of a tree removal. I did ask them if they had equipment and could do it with their folks. They said, well, the city has equipment, could do it with our folks, but the tree is overhanging the house and some of the other properties, and they don't want any of that liability, and so that's why why the estimate is so high. Correct. No, right, which is why they're contracting it out. So, so I said they asked if I would bring that up and get your opinion and thoughts on that.
Well, it wasn't on the agenda,
No, it was not.
but it is under new business. Well, I don't feel for one that our crew should go and do something
No.
that's dangling over a house, and I can understand that. I don't know. Council, your comments.
That seems like an awful lot of money to take a tree down, to me. I know a guy
Yeah, that's their estimate.
in Lamberton that I had to take some trees down, and he crawled up and tied ropes on it and did it all by hand. I get 5 trees and only charged me $900. So,
I
of
don't-
course, this is a different situation, a much bigger.
Yeah, if you've seen the size of this tree, it is a massive tree. Very, very big tree.
There-
And I've looked at just getting some of my evergreen trees in the front yard.
Oh, yeah.
And it's probably, close to that to get the 2 evergreens out of my front yard. So it is very expensive to remove trees, and that tree
Oh, yeah.
is a very dangerous tree. I think there's a lot of things that could go wrong in taking that tree down. So I definitely think that that's probably what it's worth to take that darn tree down. I think it needs to come down, definitely. And I guess I'm in agreement with forgiving half that assessment. I think I brought that up last time we talked about it when we were trying to sell it, and I had thought that maybe it had sold. I mean, we need to do something and get it moving so that something's going with it.
Is the,
So, yeah, Councilmember Cook, yeah, so we had someone that was interested in buying the lot, and that was the council's concession, was to take half the assessment off, but they were going to build something that was gonna generate some tax revenue. So that was the give and take on it the last time, so. It's between 18 and 20,000. Would take care of our half of the tree and put a little bit in our pocket, but not much. Not at this point. The county has to, take care of it, but, if that tree were to fall, I'm sure the property owner would also come looking at the city, because the property is in the city and, it's part of the tax forfeiture process.
did I hear you right? Is the house still there?
The house had been removed, and that's why there's that large assessment on it. It's a vacant lot currently.
So if we just went in there with a chainsaw and cut the tree down, what would it land on? Somebody else's house?
It's gonna land inside the neighbor's house.
Dennis, you got the idea.
Well, I don't have an opinion, so this is all the council's.
If the council is willing to acquiesce to the county's request, it would be to a motion to reduce the assessment by 50% and pay 50% of the tree removal, and you may or may not want to put a cap on that. That's up to you.
Question on that, if that motion is made, is the responsibility stand alone with the county? I want to make sure that the city's not, if we're not hiring the
The
contractor
contractor, yeah,
ourselves.
the county is hiring the contractor, and that would be liability that the contractor would have, and with the county then having the contract as the contract holder.
Okay, so one of the additions to the motion could be required that the contractor has the adequate insurance, right? Well,
You could certainly have that. I would assume the county is gonna cover their liability too, but you can
I would
certainly
think
add
so,
that.
but then we're both the same. Does that match with your recommendation, Jenny?
That would be perfectly fine, how you worded that, that we would pay half the cost of the tree removal, the county would contract, and they would make sure the contractor has the appropriate liability coverage, and that we would agree to forgive 50% of the assessment on that property.
I'll make a second.
Motion by Jenny, second by Scott. Further discussion from the council.
That makes sure we got the cap on there, right? That covers the cap? Oh, didn't put a cap, okay.
Jim, did you have a question?
I was just to make sure that the liability end is covered. I mean, that's, especially if it was my house, I'd want that.
Yeah, I've got it with proper insurance, so.
Can we put a time frame on? I mean, is that, I'm just, if we agree to this, we want it done fairly quickly then, if the house is in the way?
Well, the county came to us because they've already got this kind of lined up and ready to go, so. they're
Then we
looking-
should be
That's
good.
why they're asking for action quickly.
Okay, we have a motion and a second to that effect as discussed. Anything further, Steve, you
I'm
need?
just gonna say, if it ends up, we need a resolution to formally forgive half of that assessment, that will come to you at the next meeting.
That sounds fair. I'll ask for the vote. All in favor signify by saying aye. Any opposed? That motion carries. Any other new business? That doesn't cost us any money. Seeing none, old business? Council comments? Scott?
Just with the weather and stuff, go check on people that you haven't seen for a while to see if everybody's okay, because it's gotten cold out and we know we're hardy people, but there's other people out there that are not used to this kind of weather. So if you got time to go check on some people, thank you.
Probably also, isn't it always a recommendation this time of year to check your vents and stuff, make sure that stuff's working properly? We don't need anything happen to folks with carbon monoxide type things, so that checked out. Very good. Jenny?
I don't have anything tonight.
Jenny? Jim?
I have nothing.
Dennis? Steve?
If anybody's looking for a finance director position, we've got one open, please apply.
Absolutely, and thank you, Steve, as my comment for, I guess, filling in that capacity as needed, and hopefully we can get somebody on board here contracted by the end of the week. So, with that, careful on the streets to everybody. So we'll pay attention. Do your due diligence to drive carefully. And that goes for each and every one of us, right? So With that, we'll adjourn by unanimous consent.